Thanks for joining us.
Live.
Wow, we are live. That must be Monday. And if it's Monday, it's time for
Ask the Oracles.
And welcome back. It's another Monday. It's Ask the Oracles Monday. And Monty and Amy, how are you? How was your week? What's going on? Are you writing yet another book, maybe?
Well, we're
Yes.
working on books for sure, but we had sort of a little Zane miracle.
So I think all our friends here, most of you know about our Zane who passed about 2 months ago, our beloved Zane. So the other day I was missing him. I miss him all the time. I hope I don't start crying when I tell the story, but I asked for a sign, right? You know how we want that sign from our loved ones.
Yes.
So I just did that privately to myself. So a few hours later, Monty came in the room looking weird. And
I do that sometimes.
after we can read each other, right? So I said, "What's up?" He goes, "Well, I didn't want to tell you, but there was a dead bird right outside of Zane's cat door, and I don't know where it came from." I mean, seriously, it was like right there.
Where he used to hang out, like in a spot he used to hang out.
I hadn't told Monty, so I said, "I can't believe that I asked for a sign from Zane, but how cat is that?
Right.
You can't get more of a sign from a cat, right?"
Right.
Anyhow, that made me feel better. I don't want to gross anyone out, but
Yeah.
Monty buried that little bird.
Yes.
But you have to ask, you guys, you have to ask for that sign. They just don't always do it without you asking, and you have to really want it.
But we've been looking. How was your week, Jeff?
My week was good, productive, and I had some positive movement in looking at community technologies, looking at ways to help bring people together off Facebook and other ways, and also made some progress curating a conference which is taking place at the end of April. So I've been working on my to-dos, and I have confidence that I can offer us a alternative to Discord for a community to connect in a more meaningful way for people of a certain age. So I've
Well, if you can't do it, who can?
Right.
well, it's not that it's impossible. It's just that originally I thought we should all be on Discord because it was a cool hip thing to do, but it wasn't designed by people over 30 maybe, and not every application is meant for everyone to be used. So I looked for alternatives, and I found something which I'm playing with right now, and once I feel comfortable with it, I will share it with the Ask the Oracle community. So it'll be a way for people to connect in between shows, to share their to be present in the community, and a way to connect. So
Wonderful.
Well, that's good, because I always thought that why name something like that Discord? You might as well call it "fuck you."
Exactly.
well,
I mean, really. I mean, Discord is the antidote to harmony.
Yeah,
Well,
speaking of harmony, I was just going to say our theme for today is feeding your soul.
And we have a soul feeder. Yes.
Tara Greene, welcome.
Hi.
Fellow
Hi.
astrologer and magician.
And beautiful hat
Mystic.
wearer.
So I want everybody, when you think of it during our conversation, to post ways that you guys feed your soul, because we know how we do it, and we're going to talk about some of those ways. But first off, why don't you and Tara do a astrology review? What's going on?
Well, I defer to Tara.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. Thank you, Monty. I'm very honored. Well, yesterday, there was this awesome Sun-Neptune conjunction, and I'm sure you felt that because, when the planets get together, it amplifies everything. And of course, with Jupiter also in Pisces. So if you were feeling tired or headachy or maybe extra spiritual, because that's what Neptune amps up with the sun, so it's actually a very good blessing when the sun conjuncts any planet. So that's really important. But coming up April the 12th, there's going to be a very rare, very special conjunction of Jupiter and Neptune. And it hasn't happened since March in 166 years. And I looked at that chart, and the interesting thing is they're meeting, it's at 23 degrees of Pisces. So if you have planets, if you know your astrology chart, if you have planets close to 23 degrees Pisces, I would say give it 2 or 3 degrees before or after. That's going to fully impact you. So what happened in the 1860s? It was the birth of spiritualism in America. The whole seance thing, theosophy, which was a major spiritual organization, came to be at that time. Even like, the Queen Victoria was visiting psychics. I think Lenormand in France was giving Napoleon readings. It was like the whole birth of this whole spiritual movement. So now, 166 years later, what's going to happen is a brand new spiritual movement is going to be born. So I would say, that is a very powerful, very rare and special thing. So everybody needs to really be tuning into their dreams. Okay, that's really super important. You can do dream healing. You can incubate dreams. Really learn to watch your dreams. So all visualizations are super powered. Jeff was on here just talking about that coronal mass ejection that happened yesterday. That's also part of it because the sun affects the electromagnetic energy around the earth, which affects us. We're electromagnetic frequencies, everything is frequency. So all of this energy, really amping up here in the planets just seems to me like it's, we are being kind of amplified, big time, by all of this, right? So
Yeah, well,
even though, yeah, sorry.
I just wanted to say, because I have Jupiter in Pisces, and people that have strong Pisces influence, besides wanting to be spiritual and sensitive and empathic, sometimes it can make them sad. I see there's a lot of sadness where people don't quite know what to do because they're sort of feeling all this sadness in the world. I mean, there is.
Yeah.
So people have to protect themselves from letting that get them too down. I mean, it's hard. So, I mean, it ties back to feeding your soul. What are you going to feed you're going to feed yourself with news that you can't do anything about? Or, I mean, that's sort of junk food for your soul, right?
Yeah, that's like the Native American story about the two animals inside you. It's the one you feed that becomes the strongest one. So that's why this topic of feeding our soul is so important. You have to feed yourself stuff.
Because we are sensitive.
Yeah.
We're sensitive to what we eat. We're sensitive to energy. We're sensitive because we care a lot, which is a good thing. But then if you don't feel empowered.
That's the issue. That's the issue, because the news is like a dump truck, a garbage truck that comes in and dumps the garbage in your living room and then says, okay, now do something about it. Because we're the human beings are the kind of people we want to do something about stuff. But what can you do about stuff that's, thousands of miles away? I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Jeff?
Well, Jeff,
I like to dump it on you.
I'd like to hear more about the solar flares.
Well, I can. There's a website which I go to every day called spaceweather.com, and you may wonder, why do you go to spaceweather.com? But
we're all in space.
Great, I go to space weather.
And spaceweather.com has become one of my favorite go-to sites. It gives me an idea of what's happening literally in the world proactively. Of course, it may mention about meteors that may have missed us, but most importantly, over the weekend there was a hole made in our app, and basically a coronal mass ejection that hit us that opened up a hole in the magnetic field that had a real effect on us, and it has not happened like that in a very long time. And according to what I've recently read, people in northern Norway could read the electricity. The electricity was actually present in the land, which kind of brings it home that we, life is, as Tesla would write, about vibration, energy, and frequency, and it kind of brings it back all the way. And so, for those of you sensitive to energy, those of you sensitive to shifts, it's happening. We're in the midst of every 11 years there's a solar cycle. Some people would argue that it's really 22 years, but most people say it's 11 years. And we're right now on the build up toward another large, where it's going to peak 2 to 3 years from now. They're not so sure, but it looks like it's going to peak much stronger. So the sunspots is what happens. And the more sunspots you have, those of you who like northern lights, you're going to love the fact of this increased solar activity, because one byproduct of having the CMEs and having the charged atmosphere is the most beautiful northern and southern lights. I don't want to, if you happen to be living in or access to New Zealand or Tasmania, the reds and the southern lights are absolutely spectacular. A few years ago when I was in New Zealand, if the weather would have been a little bit more friendly, I was going to go down and look to see if I could find the southern lights because it just looked too spectacular. But anyway, from an energy perspective, it's something more to be sensitive of. And the coronal mass ejections is not laughable. The forecast, though, they say there was a CME, and then of course it happened on the sun, and it takes days for it to come here, and sometimes it misses Earth, it breezes by, and sometimes it hits us. And the way CMEs affect our day-to-day life are satellites. You may have recently heard about some satellites that got knocked out of service after they were launched. It's because they got hit by the CMEs, and that's going to happen more frequently. The most intense northern lights that have been seen years. It's been many years since the northern lights were seen in the Caribbean, but they have been. And so when you have severe, extreme activity in the sky on the sun, it does directly affect us. And on the negative side, it will knock out radio transmissions. It will knock out GPS. Will knock out. Then it could even knock out your power. Literally, could affect the power grids. Because things are designed assuming normal levels and not abnormal levels. So there's lots of charged energy in there. But the reason I look at spaceweather.com on a regular basis is for the way how I feed my soul. You see, because in my soul, I am and always will be a ham radio operator. It's just something who I am. And I just look for ways to communicate. And even though I had about a 35-year gap between the time I communicated with somebody the last time, since the end of 2019, I became very active on radio again. And well, the technology's changed. It's not just about Morse code. It's not just about talking to people anymore. Now there's a digital element. And the digital element allows people to communicate when the conditions are very weak. And I feel blessed that I've been using a technology that NASA uses for interstellar space communication. And so by using these technologies, I'm able to communicate. And so when spaceweather.com says that propagation is going to be there, so I could communicate so that we have sunspots which provide connectivity, I get up early in the morning and I go on the radio and I just have fun. And so for me,
that feeds your soul. Having fun is one of the best things.
It
is. So the way I get to the fun part is the excitement, and it's like as if I just experienced it for the very first time. There's something about when I get on the radio and I'm connecting with people and I'm checking out different propagation paths, and there's just an unspoken but absolute strong value that it makes me smile. It literally brings smiles to my face.
Those propagation paths do make you laugh.
No, maybe no one else.
Did you hear about the two propagation paths walk into
last night, for example. I mean, for those of you who still listen to FM radio, and let's say you're on the East Coast, it'd be highly unusual for you to tune your FM dial and to start listening to stations from Los Angeles. That was sort of what happened to me last night on the 10-meter band when normally after darkness, you don't hear anything, and all of a sudden stations from Australia and Japan just popped in. It only lasted about 20 minutes, but it was magnificent as when it did. And it was like, and it's not normal. It's not only is it not normal, it's highly unusual. But that's, when I look at how I feed my soul and what do, it's ultimately that other word, which I don't get royalties on, but maybe I should, called passion. It's things that feed my soul, that bring out the passion, that bring the smiles, and then it's like I don't look back. And so for me, so my answer really on how to feed your soul, particularly on days where the news isn't so good, is first of all, you don't have to watch the news. I mean, no one is forcing you to actually binge watch news. But if you feel compelled to, letting go of that is a whole different ritual. But
when you're watching the news at Space Weather, we can watch different kinds of news. Yeah. And I think what you're talking about is very symbolic of different frequencies that we are able to tune into if we allow ourselves, beyond what our regular routine. I mean, so many people, their routine is watching the network news, or we have to rise above. I mean, I think if anything has taught us the last 2 years to try to raise our spiritual vibe, in order to deal with new challenges and not be lazy about that.
I totally support that. And for me, I let go. I used to watch the news all the time, Amy. I used to watch the news, particularly when the pandemic started. And
Yes.
all we had on TV was the news and about a virus. And then one day I turned it off, and I went into my own world, and I haven't really looked back since. I occasionally may watch the news, but my news comes to me at spaceweather.com. I kid you not. I look for
We
propaganda.
call we're in our own world. We call our business the enchanted world. That's for sure.
Yeah,
we can all
too.
make our own world. I think it's too overwhelming. I think it's all this Pisces energy. Pisces feels everything, right? It's the last sign of the zodiac, and it becomes overwhelming if we allow it to be overwhelming. So we have to pick and choose what to feed ourselves.
Tara, what do you tell your clients? How do you tell them to feed their soul?
Well, it depends, for each person that's different, my husband and I watch comedy, he loves comedy. We get on Netflix and we just laugh. And so that is a big, laughter is a huge thing, right? So laughing. I mean, I personally, I'm an old Beatles fan. So I go to YouTube and I watch all those old Beatles, singles, because they always make me happy from when they were really young, or I watch those reaction videos, that kids rewatching all those videos for the first time. It's that's pretty cool. But for my clients, you need boundaries. So I think, the opposite of Pisces is Virgo. You need to stay very grounded. So, it's like get out in nature as much as you can, go for a walk, just really walk very mindfully, where you grow like roots on your feet. So you're really just fully present in the moment, and I think everybody should have, daily meditation so that they just stop and they just breathe, and just remembering to breathe and be centered in the now, like what you're saying. All we can really do is be fully present in the now, and it's like the Fool, in the tarot, like, that's what the Fool is all about. It's about being fully present in the now, so be the divine Fool, like what you can't really change the past, you can't really change the future, you can only be fully present in the now and kind of be in awe of this miracle. And also, I think, the best thing you can do is just send positive energy out, to wherever the trouble is going on. And it's going on all over the world, but just, I've done this for years. There's a group of people that were meditating, every day at noon, protecting the world. And like the Dalai Lama and all the monks in India are doing, they're praying all the time. There's different native groups that do that as well. Even though it seems like it's a big mess, I think at least you feel like you're contributing to something positive. And it's
Yeah,
not
well, it could always get worse. And I no, what I mean is I think those things actually do help. I think that
We know prayer works and
Prayer works.
affirmation works and visualizations, and the more we do it, the stronger it gets.
Yeah.
But there's like the website Dodo with all the pet videos, and they come across our feed on our Facebook. I mean, I think we know that feeds our soul. Cute kittens and cute dogs and the beautiful sunsets, all the things that are prosaic or sound like cliches, they do feed our soul.
We have a pillow that says happiness is found in little things, and I think it's really true.
And also, Tara, I know you like to cook, or you're always posting nourishing meals. I like to cook, and some of you might have our cookbook, which is an astrology cookbook, and it's different ways that different signs can feed their souls, because you have to find out and personalize what's right for you, to understand yourself and to understand the foods that are right for you, the way of eating, the diet that's right for you, your routine. It's very personal to all of us what feeds our soul, these rituals in our life. We were talking about this last week with Katrina, who said you were her psychic. And because these are the things that we focus on in our life. I mean, we've been doing wellness practices for over 40 years together. Massage is huge. Supplements that are appropriate to us. We get blood tests every year, and we have healers that we like to work with. But it all comes down to understanding yourself, and astrology is such a wonderful tool for that.
Well, astrology is how I feed my soul.
Yes.
That's why I love hearing about, spaceweather.com, because, some people think, oh, astrology, what a bunch of crap. I used to think it was crap till I met Amy. And then she was studying astrology. I was studying Amy. So I learned astrology. Right now I'm working on a book that teaches everybody how to read a chart.
And he's passionate about it. Speaking of Jeff, he comes out of his room, closes the door because we have our own separate studios. He comes bursting out like he's having such a good time writing this book.
Well, because think about it. People who say that there's nothing to astrology, the way they found out that there was a planet Neptune, or they rediscovered it since the Sumerians knew about it. They found out because there were perturbations in the orbit of Uranus. This giant planet wasn't doing what was expected of it in terms of orbiting the sun. And they found out that it must be being influenced by another massive planet. And that's how they found it. So if those kind of energies work at millions of miles, like the sun, 93 million miles. So, and then if you think about polarized lenses, if you take two polarized sunglasses, put them at 90 degrees to each other, no light can get through. So we're all bathing in this soup of energy from the sun and the moon and all the planets. And we ingest the hologram of the day we were born, the moment we took our first breath. So astrology, I don't know why it works.
You're creative with that, and creativity is key. I mean, you're a creative astrologer, so is Tara.
Yeah, it feeds my soul.
Right.
So sue me.
But by the way, Tara, you mentioned the Beatles. Do you know Monty had the opportunity to meet Sir Paul and talk about tarot?
Tarot, yeah, he asked me about tarot. We had a conversation.
so?
It was good. I mean, he
Well,
asked
good. You were like a little excited, right?
well, he asked intelligent questions. It's not like we became best friends or anything. I haven't seen him since.
Right.
But,
When was this, Monty?
You saw him in Amagansett, right? At the
Yeah,
studio?
my friend has a yoga studio and he goes there.
And Monty was teaching a tarot class, and he was waiting outside.
And
He was intrigued.
yeah, and she said, I have somebody who wants to ask you a question. So I walked into an open yoga studio, and there he was. And so we talked about it. But
That just reminded me of that documentary we just saw. It's the Beatles in India. Did anyone see that? It was very interesting. It was about when they met the guru way back in 68 or 67.
it might be on Hulu. I'm
It's
not
so much
sure.
footage from that time. It was very interesting.
Cool.
But the Beatles do feed your soul.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Or, for each person, you have to find out what that is, right? And I think, you have to make your own rituals. Also, it's connecting to your higher self and your guardian angel. Now, that's a very Pisces thing. So I feel, well, Jupiter's in Pisces this year until May the 10th, and then it's going to come back at the end of October. It's optimum time to connect with your higher self or your dear departed ancestors or anyone. It opens up the imaginal realm. It opens up visualization, meditation. So creative visualization, anything you want to create. Like as I'm talking about it, my crown chakra starts to kind of, open up there. But, all you have to do is ask your guardian angels, Amy, like you were saying, you asked for a sign from, from your cat, right? So I think it's really important to remember that and to feel that connection and then to bring it down to stay really grounded. So no matter what's happening, you feel like protected, right? So, I mean, I've been doing like these ongoing for the last year. I was doing full moon and new moon rituals and bringing in meditations. And to me, it was like really tuning into, knowing that we're not just human beings, we're also very spiritual beings having this experience, right? So you can get a bit of detachment, but also feel protected. I think that's important. People have been feeling so isolated as well. And if you're connected to your higher self, you're not alone. So that's
no. And also to surround yourself with supportive people. And I mean, that's what we like to do here on Ask the Oracles. I think we're like cheerleaders for each other and help each other to be vigilant with these practices and reminders, because we have a book about affirmations coming out in May and a book about intuition coming out in June. So just, you write a book and it's like, it's a year later that it comes out. So I'm just like rereading our books that are just coming out. And it's reminding me, I mean, it's our own book. So we need it. And we know that means other people need it too. But just the basics of spirituality with affirmations and visualizations and trusting your intuition. These are all practices that you can't do just once. You have to make them daily. And if it's just a few minutes a day that we can feed our soul with these things, and it's a lasting effect. It's like taking a vitamin in a different way.
But maybe think about it, about things that make you smile, things that help you smile, things that get you to a smile. Because when you're smiling, you're actually creating, you actually are in some ways connecting to your higher self without realizing it. Because and you're happy, right? And so you're raising vibration, you're raising your energy. And so, when people think about how to feed my soul, and if they feel stuck, think of those things that make you happy, whether it's watching videos of the Beatles, whether it's listening to music that brings you back to a moment in time, whether it's certain smell, whether it's a certain taste, maybe it's a certain image, but anything that brings you back to a place which is a happy space, I would say is a feeding of your soul. And for me, yes, so I go into the radio stuff, and that's where I find that passion and the bridge into happiness. And so if you can think of things that bring you to that happy place, hopefully let you stay in a happy space, so you will get to a happy place and stay in a happy space. I believe you'll be feeding and continuing to feed your soul.
Well, I was thinking about, I'm sure a lot of people have thought about this, but with everyone wearing masks, we missed each other's smiles. And I know people are smiling behind the mask and you try to read it in their eyes. But I mean, for children not to see those smiles, what a way to share gratitude. I mean, I'm so glad it's changing now, where we can see each other's expressions and really see the smiles. It's so important.
Well, if we ever stop doing books every minute of the day,
Yeah.
I think one good thing to do is, I want to work with young people because they're damaged. The last 2.5 years has damaged young people. There's no two ways about it.
Well, you always wanted to teach astrology to kids.
That would help. That would help. But the kids are scared. And a lot of them just think there's no point to life.
But they're also resilient.
They're resilient, but right now you have this tsunami of information
that we never had when we were young.
And it's making them see, they can go on Facebook, this animal's dying, this person's dying, I miss my husband, I miss my this. That's why the kids got off of Facebook, because it was too real. It wasn't because it wasn't real enough. And their lives have become very difficult. So I think we all each have to go out and help a kid. I think that's one way to feed your soul. That's just occurred to me just now. Now, will I do it? I don't know.
Karma kids.
Well, that's
no.
really great
Karma
idea.
kids. I'm sorry.
That's a great idea, Monty. I think that's wonderful because I'm concerned too. I have 2 children, right? My kids are grown up, but like I can see how hard it's been. I have a millennial son from my first marriage, and I have a Gen Z daughter, so I get to look at both generations. It's pretty
Wow.
unique. So all the kids on TikTok though are dancing away. That's how they make themselves happy, right?
And music, yeah.
Some of them are really good.
Oh yeah, no, and also they really care. So this younger generation, not the young kids like you're talking about, those ones I'm really concerned about too, because that's not a normal way to spend your childhood.
So what are the generational astrological indications of those generations, the Gen X and the millennials?
Oh, well, the millennials have Saturn, Pluto in Libra. They got the preview of the conjunction that happened January the 12th, 2020, which from my mind kind of, was the sign of COVID and all this lockdown stuff, right? So they're going through their Pluto square right now, right? So this is like a really intense time for people that are, 38, 39. And then the younger generations, they all have lots of Aquarius energy. So they're totally wired to all the technology. Like it comes, my daughter was on a computer when she was 2, doing Photoshop, right? Because her dad's an artist and he does that too. But they're all wired to that kind of thing. So it's like, it's natural for them, So it's great in a way, but, they need to remember the natural world. They need to be brought back into the real world, and then there's all this, metaverse stuff happening and, which can be great, but also, takes you away from the real, so we have to stay with what's real and what's tangible, I think.
Well, I love looking at astrology and the generational indications that create the generation. But what took me back was I learned that they blame the baby boomers for all the bad stuff.
Right.
Wow.
I
But
know.
I'll tell you this: I will blame the Gen Ys if music change. Well, if all music becomes a 10 to 15-second hook. That all the because if you watch TikTok, what you end up with are 8-second to 15-second hooks, and that all that seems to matter. And there's an entire generation of people creating music that's all that they have is that hook, which is wonderful. Except long form music, 3 minutes. God help us, 8-minute songs. Like, where's that going? And so I like to think that in our universe we have a place for everything. We have for the short hooks, because in the beginning of TikTok, people were taking the hooks from the songs and just working with those and doing their dances. But now you're actually seeing new short form music being created where the only thing that exists is a phrase,
Yeah.
few beats, and that's it, which is fascinating. But I don't know. I'm a fan of call me old school. I like 3-minute songs, which are relatively short for rock music, and the Harry Chapin 8-minute storytelling as well. So
Well, I just read that TikTok's going to 10-minute form.
Oh, wow. Okay.
okay,
We'll have to have
that's
longer hooks
encouraging.
then.
But I do think one of the challenges in feeding our soul and with different things that we like is if it is music, and yes, I think TikTok is an amazing great wonderful distraction, great for next generation influencers, but the music industry has figured out the algorithms that TikTok drives Spotify, and it's basically the videos that are popular on TikTok end up being noticed by Spotify that help determine what people will be listening to
Oh, wow.
waiting. And so the music industry is very much tied into all of that energetically as well as monetarily. So I'm just fascinated with these tech trends to see where things go.
Yes.
Because for me, my go-to is music, right? It doesn't even matter what type of music, because I can certainly listen to and find some TikToks that are interesting, fascinating, and engaging, and at the same time, listen, then shift and go into almost any genre of music and find something. I mean, the point though is that music of the Beatles is for me the new classical music. Mozart defined a generation, and it will ever be known as classical music. But for other generations, I think the Beatles is another type of classical music. It doesn't have to be classic rock. It's just drop the rock. It's just classic, and I think that we are seeing shifts like that too. So
Hey, tell people about your show, your music show.
on Thursdays, and this has been going on for more than a year and a half, I've somehow found a place in this world to keep acoustic music alive in a very safe and secure place. So at Thursdays at 2 o'clock, it's called Jeff's Place, and we have artists generally. I don't know exactly how it ended up being these 4 countries, but somehow artists from Canada, the U.S., the U.K., and Ireland, just those 4 countries, seem to show up, and they play they create and share a lot of original music. Sometimes they do covers, and it's mostly I guess it's a Gen Y and Gen Z show with occasional baby boomers in there too. And it's the only place we have people generally join us from the West Coast, US and Canada, all the way into the Middle East, and literally from teenagers to folks in their 80s. We don't discriminate against anything. The one thing that we have in common is the music, and it's pretty magical, and it's a place that I found that gives me joy and delight every week. And it's just as much fun to host as it is just to listen to the music. And one of my dreams, which I'm working on making come true, is to take what happened on the Thursday music show and bring it to real life. So I'm hoping a year from now at South by Southwest to have our own stage to showcase some of the artists that that become regulars on our shows, and to maybe turn that into a web TV show. We'll see. But to sort of because it's the opposite of American Idol and The Voice and America's Got Talent. It's very organic. Everyone has their own journey. Everyone's coming from a different place, but to assemble maybe, I don't know, in Nashville, and to look at everyone's individual journey, see the ups and the downs, and chronicle their life in music. So looking at doing it as a show, as a tour, and as a chance to share some positive light to all these kids. And so I hope, of course, would be that we'd be helping to feed their souls as much as our souls to help bring us to a common manifestation and positive destiny for everything.
Hey, Jeff, I just, because you're his friend also, Simon Kirk is performing in Riverhead with G. Smith. We're going to go on
Yeah.
April 30th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
I know.
We're gonna leave our cave. The Bat
April
Cave.
30th?
Yeah, it sounds like
There's
you're
a
getting.
beautiful theater in Riverhead.
We should go. Lauren, we should go.
Yeah, you guys should come April 30th.
It sounds like everyone's itching to travel. Not us. I mean, Riverhead is traveling. for
Riverhead
us.
for me would be a trip. Let me tell you.
That's true.
Connecticut to Riverhead is a trip.
For you, yeah.
Well, I think it's exciting. People are reemerging. You predicted April. Tara, I
did.
don't know if you did, but Monty, for the last 2 years, has been saying April 2022 would be the
Okay.
opening. And it certainly seems like it is most places,
I
right?
know, but I think the power mad leaders who are addicted to power and controlling people, they're not letting it go. But I think
That's okay. Power to the people.
power to the people. I think that people are going to start taking their power back
That's
and
what I'm
just like
saying.
ignoring them because
Yeah.
I'm done. I think a lot of people are saying the same thing. I'm done with this crap.
Well, in the meantime, we do have to take care of our immune systems. I think it's been a great lesson to take better care of ourselves. right?
Well, we've gone from American Idol to American IDLE. We've been idle for 2 years. and-
Not us, not us.
Not us, no, but I've had enough of it. We
Well, I
go
mean,
out,
that's
we
what-
do our normal thing, but I look at people are afraid of each other now. I don't like that.
It's
I
like-
mean, I grew up in Brooklyn, everyone was afraid of each other, but at least you had a reason, because everyone was a fucking psychopath. But now it's like, oh my God, that person coughed, it's like whip out the gun. There's someone coughing.
It's
over there.
changing though. We
I
got
know.
a war to distract us now.
Yeah, it went right from COVID into Ukraine.
Right.
And my favorite thing is it's not favorite at all. It's like people are like, well, let's debate whose fault is. You don't invade another country. Let's rise above the whole
Well, so
situation.
interesting. I think everyone can agree that it's wrong, right? So it's
To invade
almost
another country.
it's almost a uniting energy in a horrible way, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, oh my God, they're barbecuing next door. I'm going over with a shotgun. That's basically what it comes down to. It's like, these are my neighbors. I'm going over there to invade them and blow up their apartment buildings. That's it.
Yeah, so people went from the scare of the virus right into the scare of, possible World War III, which you don't think there is.
That does not feed my soul. I'm sorry. No matter how much our leaders would
That's why
like it.
coronavirus has not been on our televisions for 3 weeks.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, they just switched the whole, channel, right? But I think it's a playbook. And so, again, I
Yeah.
think you have to be aware, but not be involved in it. Now, my date is May the 10th for things opening up and for the energy really shifting when Jupiter enters Aries, because that's like a whole new ball game.
Oh, that's
And-
new. It's new, right?
Yeah, but
Newness.
Yeah, brand new beginning. It is spring equinox on
Yep.
Sunday. The sun goes to 0 Aries. It's International Astrology Day, actually. So when Jupiter hits that point, which it does once every 12 or 13 years, it's like everybody's going to be mad as hell, and we're not going to take it anymore.
That's right.
oh,
Network.
cool.
That's like
Network.
I think, people want new, it's renewed, it's refreshing. It's like, let's get on with it. Let's go forward. Having 3 planets in Aries, I'm all for that. But Monty and I are doing a little thing about the equinox with our publisher on Friday the 18th. So watch our Facebook pages for that. That'll be a fun discussion with another astrologer who we don't know.
We don't know, but apparently she knows how to work the social media world.
Oh, wow.
Maybe she's millennial. I'm not sure.
We'll have to ask her.
She's watching the show right now. If so, please identify yourself. Or if you
Right. When people come up and say stuff about the baby boomers, I always go back to what
That's ageism.
the 300 said to Xerxes when he said, surrender your weapons. They said, come and take it.
Right.
Molan Labe, you might have seen shirts that say Molan Labe. It means come and take it. And so every generation is entitled to their time, but you can't expect the previous generations to give it up. You have to go out there and do the work. So
We did a lot of good things.
we did. And excuses are the leaning posts of losers. That's what the coaches used to say in my stupid high school.
You mean blame it.
Yeah. So, and in the military, when you screw up, they say, why did you do that? The only acceptable answer is no excuse. Because you just got to do your thing. And
What
I
is
think
the thing
that's
they
what
say-
feeds my soul. Doing my thing. How
like doing
baby
my-
boomer is that?
I like doing my
Definitely.
thing.
Right.
Yeah, doing my thing. I'm just
Well,
doing
you
my
do
thing.
you, like that, you do you and I'll do me, everybody's got to do
Exactly. So everyone's got to realize that,
But also to be aware, I mean, I think it's very interesting that people become more aware of racism,
yes, that's
and-
important.
but there's ageism too. That's the boomer prejudice. It's really ageism.
I
mean,
guess, yeah.
there's misogynistic, there's all these things that we are becoming more highlighted, that we don't want the old way. of
Well, it always
that.
comes back to the bumper sticker of "Don't be an asshole." I mean,
Do assholes know they're assholes?
that's a problem. But
Oh, that's like a Zen cone, right?
yeah, that is that little known Zen cones. My next book. I'm telling you, but the thing is, the people who watch this show, it's like we're preaching to the
Yeah,
converted
we're all
for
on the same
sure.
page, I know.
Because everybody here is an oracle. I always say this, but it's really true. Everyone here who's watching the show, I'm sure, is an oracle to other people
But we
and a
want,
touchstone.
yeah, we like to ask other oracles too.
Of course, this is true because we are not blamers. We don't like, oh, if it wasn't for the millennials, we this and that. And that's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, you know what we like to do is to ask some collective question.
Oh, we're gonna do a card reading.
Ooh,
Okay.
I like your pouch.
My pouch, you can have one too. 'cause
It comes with the Enchanted Tarot. Which, by the way, just passed the 25,000 mark in this form.
Yay! Over.
Yeah, all our books are selling. I'd like to thank everybody here because I know it's partially because of you.
Over 25,000 sold in that form. I see it's
In that form, but it's getting close to 500,000 in all forms. So we're very excited. All languages.
500,000 in all forms.
500,000. in all
Sometimes I
forms.
look on YouTube and I see unboxings of our things,
It's a lot of fun.
and they'll go like, this material. Well, I think it's good, but if I hang my pouch on the wall, it's going to stretch out. Or they'll go like, what do you think of this paper?
The thing that gets Amy the most is when they talk about cutting the
Oh,
borders
they
off
cut the
card.
borders off. This is like a thing.
Yeah.
I want my borders. I
Right.
use borders in my art. That's the thing I do. And they love cutting the borders off.
Well, we are going to go to every person who's cut the borders off's house and have a conversation with them. That feeds my soul. Vengeance feeds my soul. It sounds like something out of, Gozer from
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters, right?
Ghostbusters. Yes.
Right, exactly. Vengeance feeds my soul.
Vengeance feeds my soul.
Yeah.
Well, there's some truth in that. I see people getting off on being angry or
That's unfortunately.
ranting. That is that feeding their soul, or
I
is
don't
it-
know. Would someone please explain to me what is the point of posting a comment against what someone
with
has
a
posted
stranger?
on Facebook? What do you think that's going to accomplish?
They
Oh,
get in-
well, I'm wrong. You're right. I'm sorry.
They get
Does
into
that ever happen?
arguments.
What's the point? I just don't understand the point. You might as
like
well
to
go buy
argue.
lottery tickets instead of doing that. And that feeds my soul.
Thank you, Salika. She doesn't like it when they cut the cards.
Thank you.
order.
Yeah, thank you. That drives me crazy. Like people cutting cards like it's a regular card game. It's like, no. It's like, don't do that. No.
I know, right?
Let's see. Let's get a collective card, and you can do the creativity oracle if you want.
We can do the keyboard warrior oracle for all those.
What's
The
that?
virtue signaling oracle.
The virtue signal. There you go.
Okay. I have to come back into.
Sorry. The rant.
Okay.
Okay, this is for everybody. We love you,
We're
everybody.
connected. Oh,
Ooh, nice one.
okay, it's an Empress.
This-
She's emphasizing creativity.
Yes.
Wow, does that feed my soul, do you think?
Absolutely.
Just a little.
Oh, and so, hey, Michelle Marie picked the fifth house, which is creativity and the karma card.
I do think that would make the world a better place if everyone exercised their creativity and used their creative gifts, and it would make the world more beautiful or make us feel better. I mean, it's healing.
And pro tip, this can sometimes indicate a pregnancy, which doesn't mean everyone should go get pregnant.
Well, another pro tip is she's sitting in a beautiful garden. So I think that's about spring. Going back to what we were saying, spring renewal, spring, it's going to be new things growing. Eat naturally,
And fresh.
put flowers in your house, surround yourself with beauty. What do you think? What do you got? What do you get, Tara? You going to do your cards?
Okay, hang on a second. For everybody.
That was a great card.
I get the moon. Okay, I'm using the Thoth tarot here. This is the moon. Now this is Pisces, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have my moon in Pisces.
Ah, there you go. Well, of course, that's why you're so psychic.
Yes.
So the number 18 here, the moon, this is a non-traditional kind of deck. It is dealing with the dark side of moon, but it's about having faith.
Mm.
You have to go, I mean, traditionally, this is the dark night of the soul. So in a way, we could look at the collective, maybe this is a kind of dark night of the soul period for people, but in
Definitely.
stage,
Definitely.
we get to the next card, which is number 19, which is the sun. Speaking of the sun, we're back to the sun again, the sunspots, right?
Yeah.
So it's about trusting. I always think of this card as like the baby talking about getting pregnant, coming down the birth canal, still connected to the mother, still like connected to spirit, still hearing her heartbeat. And the baby's coming down the birth canal, but it doesn't know where it's really going, and it's dark. But it knows that there's going to be light, that it's going to come out into positive energy. So it really is about faith. And, Jupiter rules Pisces in traditional astrology. So Jupiter is in a very strong, point right now. So having faith and trusting, in the light, trusting in your own light, trusting in your own spirit, that everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay is a good way to feed your soul. People have been saying that, just say that,
It's
trusting in-
beautiful. I love the baby analogy.
Yeah.
Did you pull a card too, Jeff?
I pulled cards. Yes, I did. I go with. I'm trying to understand. I pulled the first I got, and I realized only after I pulled them I was using the old deck.
You
But
mean the falling apart deck?
yeah, but it's definitely worn and used. So I got this is what I got was risk, intuition, and push.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, the intuition is absolutely worn. That was my sign of being worn. But I think it's pushing is needed. Allowing yourself to push with your intuition, I think is really needed. I think what you risk is not doing it. I think the risk is not listening to yourself and holding back and really getting in your own flow and stopping yourself from doing what you believe you need to do intuitively. Because you just say, no, it's not me, it shouldn't do that. But really, most people are gifted with the answers. They might not know the questions, but they know what their missions are. And they have to allow themselves the flexibility of being open to take action, as opposed to put themselves and get them stuck. And I think that's, one of the biggest challenges. Friends of mine reach out to me for help is that they feel like they need to do something. They don't know how. But they intuitively knew they needed to do something, and they're the ones who said no first. And so there was no one in front of them. They just said no. And so, I jokingly tell people, take that no and flip it upside down and turn it to on, so that you make it happen. Then things happen. So with me, it's like you push with your intuition, and your risk is by not doing it. And that's sort of a pathway back to feeding your soul, because allowing yourself to be happy when maybe you're feeling guilty because people around you aren't happy, that's on them. It's not on you. You're allowed to feel happy. It's the same thing about finding that time for yourself, for me time, right? If you're able to, in your day, find the time to get to that joy and delight for the moment, do it, right? You owe it to yourself to whenever you can, to do things that just are good for you. And it's not being selfish. It's actually the opposite. If you know that you could take the time to help recharge yourself so you could better serve yourself and others, and you're not doing it, then that's on you to fix. But if you could find the me time, please do it, because no matter how long or how short, the best investment you could ever make is in yourself. And it's the time you take for you that has the biggest dividends.
It's true.
Somebody asked about how is the news about COVID in Ukraine part of the playbook? I think,
That's what Tara was saying, the playbook.
well,
The universal plan, the divine plan.
I think it's more like the World Economic Forum, but we don't talk about politics or
Okay.
health issues here. But
We talk about wellness.
just look up World Economic Forum or Plan 32 or 23, something.
2030.
Unless you're too
with United.
sensitive.
Right, but that's not a great way to feed your soul unless you happen to be going into politics.
If you're an Aquarius.
Right, right.
But I mean,
And
they
that's
also-
another. I'm sorry.
Because I'm a double Sag, Monty, it's like I got to know the truth and I'm going to investigate. And I have a Scorpio rising, so I'm never going to stop until I'm obsessive about all that. But to me, it's like, for me, it's like I need to be aware of what's going on, because then it pushes me into a different kind of action. So for me, it's like,
Sure.
I don't want to be in denial, which is a big Pisces thing, right? Like the
They
denial,
can, yeah.
the distraction, and the addictions and all that stuff. I'd rather look at the truth. My thing has been look the monster straight in the eye, kind of thing. That's my
Oh, yeah.
Jupiter in Aries.
Well, I've been telling people for years to make your base secure, because I saw the shortages and the supply chain interruptions and all this other crazy stuff coming, and it's actually going to get worse before it gets better. So
We always say it's also your mind, body, spirit is making, working on those three things makes your base secure.
right,
With your body, you have to nourish your body and your mind and your soul
right, and
to make them strong.
and you got to be careful about buying a gas guzzling car, because gas is so expensive right now. And that was another thing I was trying to get people to see, and what am I supposed to say for years? Oh yeah, one day the
A lot
shit's
of
going to
people
hit the
listen to
fan.
you.
Well, yeah, but at the
Our
same time, you don't want to
friends here.
scare people, and it's not like it's very scary this time. It's just expensive and difficult.
Well, what I love about the tarot is all of life is in the tarot. I mean, you have the death card, you have the tower, you have all these things that we have to embrace. We can't pretend that it's all going to be good news, and we definitely know it doesn't work that way. So,
But there's
Well,
always good news. There's always
good news, and there's always challenging news, and we use our strengths to compensate for our weaknesses, or for the parts of our lives that we need, to work on.
right. Well, and I always come back to Jeff, because the best way to predict the future is to create it, which you've done. So that's so powerful to me. I'm always impressed by that.
Well, thank you. But it comes from, and I say this in the kindest way, is ignorance is bliss. Not knowing that you can't do something empowers you to do anything. And once you start having experiences, and you're trying to then go into the area where you've seen fail, where you've had now you tried something before, and I say tried, didn't do it. Sometimes will hold you back. So not knowing you can't do something enables the future to be, and finding the strength to go back and to do it differently. That's also a secret, Monty. So it's being present, listening, and then taking those actions are sometimes the magic that we need to remind ourselves.
Well, magic is powerful. I always come back to Einstein's statement: you can live like nothing's a miracle or everything's a miracle. I prefer to live like everything is a miracle.
It's true.
Every day's a miracle.
Exactly. That's why I cannot understand how
And not
people
take
get
it
up
for
to and
granted.
say, like, today I'm going to rob some people, I'm going to hurt some people, I'm going to invade a
I'm
country.
going to complain.
What is
What
wrong
about
with yeah, or complain, or I'm going to get into a keyboard war with somebody about somebody said something about something that I don't like. I just don't understand why people think they have this time to waste. That's instead of appreciating. Gratitude's the attitude, right?
Gratitude is powerful. It like washes everything bad away.
And gratitude also is a great neutralizing factor, because you can be grateful and other people can be hateful, and I think grateful wins.
Yeah, and I think that really is how to feed your souls, to be grateful and forgiving, because you don't want to. It's like not going to the bathroom for a week. You don't want to clog yourself up,
And whatever we do to feed our soul, let's just do more of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, that feeds your soul: forgiveness, gratitude, love. I mean, those are the essentials, the essential vitamins.
Love.
Love. Love is
Yeah.
all you need.
Just love.
Coming back to the Beatles.
Come back to the Beatles.
back to the
Always.
Beatles.
There we go.
I
Love
like
is
the
good.
Rolling Stones too, I have to admit. But
But
but I wish we had a lot more young people watching the show and they could tell us
All
what.
you need is love. Love is all you need.
Yeah, but they look at that as like the way we used to look at the swing music or the
I like that. I
roaring
loved the
20s.
old movies when I was young.
Me too, though they were frightening, some of them. Laurel and Hardy. I got scared by Laurel and Hardy. I don't know why.
The Three Stooges scared me.
Three Stooges.
They were violent.
Violent.
Very violent. They were very violent, those guys.
Yeah, no.
It turns out I'm distantly related to Larry.
Oh, no.
Really? Wow.
I had known that, I would have been the coolest person in my
Yeah.
school. I would have shown him the block, right? When
Whoa.
somebody used to go. I know, right? See, but
We're back to comedy now, right? See comedy, you gotta laugh. You gotta kind of not take it too seriously in a way too, right?
exactly that. I think Einstein was going to say that, but he was too busy.
Okay, what's everybody's favorite comedies so we can watch? We love Barry on HBO.
Well, you got to see the movie The Jerk. I think that's
The Jerk's classic.
That's a classic. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Then you'll understand it when I say he hates those cans. You'll understand. You will understand. He hates those cans.
Steve Martin, The Jerk, right?
Yep.
Yeah, no, he's great.
Barry is
I
funny.
guess humor is very individual.
Wait a minute.
right?
Tara watches comedy movies all the time.
I
I want to
know.
hear what she says.
Oh God, there's so many, but no, we kind of go through the stand-up comedians, we just keep finding different ones. That young guy, Bo Burnham, did you see him? He's quite brilliant.
No.
He's
No.
like 30 something. He's like an actor. He did this whole thing where it's about being in COVID and lockdown for a whole year. And he's extremely funny and he
Oh,
makes
check
up
him out.
songs. He's a musician. It's just about COVID. He just produced, created, did the whole thing himself. It took him a year. It's on Netflix.
Amazing.
Bo Burnham.
I think anyone who could be a comedian nowadays deserves support because with all the
He's amazing.
trigger words and cancel culture,
Yeah.
you got to be good.
Eddie is we're getting some
Eddie is here.
suggestions here.
Rodney Dangerfield.
Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh, that's an oldie.
What's
Oh, great.
The lady-
what's wrong with you? True. The Lady Eve with Preston Sturgis. That sounds like fun.
Wait, that's not a comedy though.
That's not a comedy. No.
That's just classic old movie.
Diane Ferraro says the Jerk also. Great minds think alike, right, Diane?
Well, there's so many great comedies.
Nobody else likes Barry?
Maybe they don't know what it is.
Barry on HBO. It's awesome. It's a series.
Okay.
Made us laugh a lot.
Okay.
What about Bob? Somebody says Love Barry, the Jerk. Episodes I Love Lucy actually is pretty funny.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, yes, laughter is the best.
Obviously,
medicine.
we need more comedies.
Yes, we need more comedies.
Yes,
There's a lot of murders.
Jeff,
We
you
do
need,
watch those too.
you need to do a show about a comedy show. Oh my God.
Say this on the music side,
Go
it
ahead.
seems so hard for the
Right.
artists to sing happy songs.
Really?
Yeah, well, it seems I don't know why it is. At least in the folk Americana genre, most of the music that we hear sung, original music, is sad about people's lives, and to get them to do a happy song is like worse than pulling teeth. I don't know why that is.
Well, it comes from the tradition of Danny Boy and all the songs that were done for sad things. I guess when people are happy, they're too busy being happy to write a song.
Perhaps, but I would like to see some happy songs. Some
I wrote
pop
some happy
You
songs.
do.
good songs.
Monty wrote a song about women getting their period.
Yeah, it's called Period Piece. And because I love you all so much, I'm never going to play it here on Ask the Oracles. It's a good song. What I would really like to have had is the video of me explaining to my band we're going to do a song called Period Piece, and the female singers looking at me like, wow, what have I got myself into?
On that note, we have 1 minute warning. We have 1 minute
Okay.
left.
Oh, because Tara has something to say. Sorry, Tara, go right
All
ahead.
right. The Only Women Bleed by Alice Cooper. I was blown away by that song. Right?
Really?
Only Women Bleed. Alice
Wait,
Cooper.
did he rip you off?
Well, I wrote a song called We Are One back in the 70s, for God's sake.
You wrote a lot of.
I did. I wrote a lot of spiritual music, and that's why I'm an author. Because they looked at me and said, "What?"
You
All
know?
right. We're gonna wrap up. Closing words, Tara.
Yeah, I think, listen to your holy guardian angels, be creative, be grateful, be blessed, all of you. Know that you're not alone.
Thank you. And people can get readings from you, right?
Yes. Yeah. So you can go to my website at taratarot.com. I do astrology, tarot, I do dream work, I do women's spirituality work. So yeah, please get in touch with me. I'd be very happy to connect with you.
Thank you, Tara. And everybody keep dreaming or else
And-
our soul dies if we
and-
don't keep dreaming.
But wait a minute, next week,
Our favorite friend,
Is-
Linda LaPlante. Everybody has to come because we want to show Linda all our cool friends. Here.
look her up on Google. She is the
She's
Agatha
literally one of
Christie.
our, talk about funny, she's the funniest person we know.
But she's also the Agatha Christie of our time. She wrote Prime Suspect, which is what sent Helen Mirren on her
She's like
journey.
Agatha Christie of this time.
Yeah, she's one of the
Linda
most
LaPlante.
prolific and
You guys
best-selling
promise
author-
you'll be here next week?
Yeah, Linda LaPlante, LYNDALAPLANTE.
We'll
What?
just,
London?
well-
She's tuning in. She's joining us from London.
She's joining us
Yes.
from London. She lives in a place called Ravenswood, which was Allied headquarters during World War II.
Wow.
And she'll be joining us from.
wait, wasn't she, what is she, the Queen knighted her? or
Oh
whatever.
yeah, she's a member of the British Empire, whatever. But she's just also hilariously funny, and she used to live
That's
out here in
always
the
dangerous to
Hamptons.
say. She'll probably be morose.
You're right. I just hope everything's okay with her pets because she's a real animal lover. So we'll have a great time next week.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you,
Thank
Lauren.
you,
Everybody.
our dear
Thank you.
friends.
Thank you so much. Good to be here.
Thank you,
again.
Michelle Marie.
Thank you all for tuning in. Because if it's Mondays, it's time for.
Ask the
Ask the
oracles.
On that note, we'll see you next week with a very special guest.
Bye, everybody.